Welcome back, everybody. You're watching the Handyman Business YouTube channel. This channel is about making lots of money. Lots of money is a relative term. It's different to different people. But I'm going to define it as outpacing inflation so that every year you make more money than you did the previous year. If you're making the same money every year, you are actually taking a massive pay cut every year. I'll discuss more about that in a few minutes. All the topic for today's video came from Patreon. I'll leave a link in the top of the description so you can join and participate in the conversation that goes on after the video on Patreon. I got a couple things to talk about today. The first one is estimating or coming up with a price for medium to small jobs. We're going to start with a small bathroom, like a hall bathroom for a 3-bedroom, 2-bath house. You're going to have a basic tub, vanity, mirrors, light fixtures, towel bars, toilet paper holder, a toilet. You got to do quantity takeoffs. Do you need a toilet? Do you need a vanity? Do you need to buy faucets? So your customers are going to want to pick out the things they want to go into the bathroom. A lot of times I encourage them to buy them and I will pick them up on will call. They can finance the finished materials. The vanity and countertop and sinks are usually purchased as one. Faucets are usually extra. Have them pick out their mirror, buy their light fixture. They can put it on will call at Lowe's or Home Depot, or they can just have it ordered to their house. When they get to finance that portion of the project, your labor portion and the raw materials like underlayment, thin set, grout, joint compound, and tape, and things like that, and consumables, rollers, paintbrushes, plastic drop cloths, things like that. It doesn't seem so much to them when they get to finance half of it. And your bill isn't so massive as if it were all in one. Do your quantity takeoffs for your materials, and you need to come up with a number. I know a lot of guys try to overcomplicate things and run a one-man show like a 50-man show or a 100-man show. You don't need to overcomplicate things. Ask yourself, what do I want to make? What do I need to make? And what can I make? You have to have some experience remodeling bathrooms. This is a basic hall bathroom, and I know without a doubt how long it's going to take me. Some of the very common problems that I'll run into, they're so common that they're not problems. That's just part of the job. It's going to take me 5.5 days. Not every day is going to be a full day, but I'm still not going to do much else on that day because it's going to consume enough of that day where it doesn't make sense for me to try to fit in something else. So maybe a hall bathroom is not quite a handyman job. I think it is. It's actually a DIY job. Women are doing this by themselves these days. A topic I want to get into in the future is the decline of skilled labor employees and the massive increase in the DIY market. More people are choosing to do the work themselves and not hire a professional because it's just that easy. The DIY network blew the lid off of it and showed that anybody can do these simple tasks. So let's go to a handyman situation where somebody calls you up and they've got a laundry list of things that need to be done. Gutters need to be cleaned. Door latches no longer latching or locking. Swapping door locks out. Technically, you're not allowed to replace light fixtures, but we do it anyways. Put down in the comments, what are handyman-only jobs? Pulling weeds? Mowing the lawn? Painting walls? Maybe replacing some rotten wood? Building shelves? Assembling furniture? IKEA furniture? Something along those lines. How do you deal with that when coming up with a price? That's one of the reasons I've avoided it for so long. And what I mean by that is becoming a full-time small task handyman. I do handyman type work for the customers that have me do the larger projects. If you have someone that calls you up and they only have a whole bunch of tiny little tasks, you're not going to get paid much. And then they may even say, I want every task item itemized. And then they'll go through and find out which one they think you charge too much on. Instead of paying him $50, I'll just do it myself. Avoid itemizing punch lists for customers. Do not give them a line item by line item. You can group certain things together. If they give you any pushback, you've got to find a way to communicate that you don't do work by one item. You do volume of items or tasks or repairs. What I can do for you is give you a price on everything. If we're not doing everything, then I can't come do the work because it just doesn't make financial sense to come do just a few things. Lately, I've been using ChatGPT to come up with a script on communicating certain things to customers. And these days I've got a lot of different types of customers. If you want to know more about my side business that turned into my main business, I have a video out on Patreon. Another one that's coming out is about permitting. You can tell that someone has never, ever worked a day in construction when they ask you,
did you pull a permit to put that light fixture in? Or did you pull a permit to put that receptacle in?
I feel like telling you it all right now, but you're gonna have to go over to Patreon and look for my permitting video. You'll find the truth there. As someone who has worked for many years, decades, for other contractors, from the largest home builder in the United States of America to a small remodel company to deck companies. I was a full-blown electrician way back in the day. Did we pull permits? It's the bottom line on these punch list, handyman, honeydew lists. You got to have all or nothing. You have to find a way to communicate that to the customer. I'll give you one price for all of it. If you want me just to come back and do a few things, it's not worth my time. That sounds a little offensive, but you got to figure out a way to communicate that softly. And that's going to depend on the person that you're talking to. Put your comments below. How do you communicate that to your customers? Where I need $1,000 worth of work in order to get me back here. If you want me to come back here for $90, it ain't happening. I'm not driving across town. I'm not getting materials. I'm not wasting my time for $90 or $190. We got to be doing $700 to $1,000 a day. Well, in the previous video, I had mentioned that I was looking to hire a contractor, and I was discussing the ways in which I was looking for them. I did eventually find one. He did come from Instagram. What's interesting is he uses Jobber, and the fact that he used Jobber kind of increased my confidence in his ability. I really don't know if his ability is greater or less than somebody else, but it instills confidence when you're using a system like Jobber to communicate with your customers. One of the features that he used was the notification that you can have automated when you are on your way to an appointment. I was about ready to leave my house and go get materials for my next day's project, and I got a notification to my phone from Jobber that in 30 minutes he's going to be at my house. Because of that feature, I was here ready to go when he got here. There's a link down in the description that's going to get you 20% off for your first 6 months. I think it's very valuable on many different levels. The next question is, do I feel bad for charging a certain dollar figure for simple tasks? I never feel bad. It's necessary to charge as much as possible for survival. You can't overcharge or you will go out of business. So you have to charge what the market will support, what that customer base will support. I wouldn't try raising my prices until I am booked solid. 2 months out, 3 months out, things are getting too much to manage. And in that 3-month time period that I'm booked out, I am double booking myself, which I don't recommend, but sometimes you just got to do what you got to do to make that money. At that point, it's time to raise prices or focus your selection on higher paying customers and higher paying jobs. Maybe the picture hanging isn't as high paying as the deck board replacement. Something that always comes up is pricing and how much things cost, or how much I charge, or how much I'm encouraging other people to charge. Today's video is sponsored by Cove Pure. Over the years, you have seen me install a lot of reverse osmosis water filter systems into houses. They're permanently mounted underneath a sink or in a crawl space or a basement. If you don't have that option, this here is the solution to get reverse osmosis water. Reverse osmosis is the only way to filter out all of the bad stuff. The fluoride, the microplastics, viruses, pesticides that leach into the groundwater. If you happen to live in an agricultural area, Your kids can end up shorter just by the water they drink. Yes, the nitrogen caused by fertilizer runoff will make your kids short. We don't want that. Your clean water fills this pitcher up here. You can choose a lot of different methods to dispense the water, or you can just grab this off and, pour it into a cup. So this here is your filtered water. Right here shows your total dissolved solids in your filtered water and what it was before. This also puts out cold water. This hits it cold and it'll cool it right down for you. If you're interested in filtering out fluoride, pesticides, microplastics, but you don't want to have a full built-in system, maybe you live in an apartment and that's not something you can do, you can get $200 off by going to a special link. It's covepure.com/handy. I'm thirsty. I'm finding that people have lost track or never even had the comprehension of inflation, especially over the last 5 to 7 years. The dollar is not worth what it was 2 years ago, 5 years ago, 7 years ago. Here's a couple examples. Some of you may know I enjoy backpacking in the wilderness. This here is a 2-liter platypus water bladder. I bought this in 2018 for $7.95. I went to go purchase another one. It is now $19.95. So in 7 years, this thing went up over 100%. Another example. My last pickup truck, it was a 2016. It's a big red truck. I loved it. I held on to it way too long. The MSRP on that was $68,000 and some change. I just bought a new truck last year. Pretty much the same truck, but 2024 model. Take a wild guess. What is the MSRP on my new pickup truck? $100,640. Nearly the same truck. $68,000 in 2016, $100,000 in 2024. Your money isn't worth what you think it is. So you have to make up the difference by charging more money. You got to double your money just to be at the same point you were in 2016 to 2019. The big inflation hit was 2020 till now. Ideally, you will have at least tripled what you were charging back in 2018. Now, I've talked about this quite a bit in the past, but it keeps getting re-asked. What sort of sales tactics did I use to increase my income? I had been tapped out at working as much as I possibly could and only making about $7,000 a month. Some of you may think that's not too bad, especially for 2015. That's probably worth $14,000 in today's money back in 2014 or 15. But it was not enough, especially when it came time to pay taxes. It was brutal to find out that most of my savings on that $7,000 went to pay taxes. And I pretty much was at zero. And I thought I either have to double my income minimum or find a different line of work, because $7,000 a month you cannot survive off of. Keep in mind, that's where I live. The news just posted to get by in my state, not just my city, in my state, a single person needs to make $120,000 a year. Now that's to get by, not to thrive. You're not buying a house, you're renting, and you're just getting by. And I believe there was a whole list of all the states and what you need to earn to get by. Many of you have watched the movie, The Wolf of Wall Street. If you haven't, I highly suggest it. The sales method or tips came from the straight line persuasion system. Anybody who's in sales knows what that is. They probably purchased the course or attended a convention where they were teaching that course. I just took 3 main points from it and started implementing that, and it was like a magic wand when people just had no qualms about my new pricing. They just didn't question it at all. They thought it was a great deal. Go into ChatGPT, type in this prompt. I'm in the home improvement business. The handyman on YouTube told me I need to learn the straight line persuasion system. Can you give me some of the key points and sales tactics and apply them to a home improvement business? Boom, there you go. ChatGPT. Some people are really scared of it. And I've been catching some things on social media that Apparently people are having conversations with certain AI interfaces and talking to them like they're a real person and telling them their problems and stuff like that, which is ridiculous. I don't think people are doing that. I think it's just some extreme clickbait nonsense. I use it as a way to search the internet super fast and have my question answered like that. Estimating volume of concrete to order for a concrete job. You just type it into ChatGPT and it'll give you the volume and it'll give you the pricing. I mean, there's so much you can do. I'm now in the concrete business just because of ChatGPT. You'll see more about that in the future on the main Handyman channel. Yeah, I'm a full-fledged flat work contractor now. I do all the work, but using AI on a few small jobs gave me the confidence that,
oh, I can just easily scale this. This is simple stuff.
if you're not using artificial intelligence, you're going to fall behind and you'll never thrive. You'll never outpace inflation. You're just going to get more and more poor. Keep in mind, all my opinions are based off of my experience, what I've gone through. Feel free to put your experience or what you're going through down in the comments. Maybe define your variables. You don't have to tell people where you live, but go a little bit more into the demographics. Is it a tech city? What's the population of that city? What's the competition like in your area that you're doing work? It might help out some of the guys that don't relate to me and what I went through. Next question is, what are my thoughts on doing commercial property repairs versus residential property repairs? I would like to specialize in commercial property repairs. I've done some of it. For a period of time, I would say it was about 15 to 20% of my business for several years. I kept getting such high referrals in the residential area that just kind of washed out my time for the commercial repairs. And the commercial repair, I've done massage therapy studios, a lot of restaurants. Gosh, restaurants see such abuse, especially their tiles, their bathrooms, like the paper towel holders, baby changing tables. Things just fall apart in high use areas. If you can find a couple restaurants or a couple small businesses and do a good job, it's going to spread. I may or may not have some of those videos on my YouTube channel, the main YouTube channel, but you'd have to go way back in time. 8 to 9 years ago is when I kind of had a big surge in my commercial maintenance. Now, something you need to know about doing this commercial maintenance. If it's a larger company like a restaurant, you're going to need to be on file with like the home office as a vendor. You're going to need a W-9. So that means you are going to need to be a real business registered with your Secretary of State and have your EIN number. There can be a little bit of a delay for payment. So once you complete the work at the restaurant, you replaced a whole bunch of tiles that popped out of the kitchen. Keep in mind, often you got to go in after hours at night. You submit a invoice to the restaurant manager and he then sends it to the home office. Then they've got to process it, and then it's usually a minimum of 30 days before they will cut a check from when the office gets the invoice. I have run into a net 60 payment. That's where you would be 60 days out from when they receive the invoice, but it's usually 30 days. The customer has less emotion involved in the project because it's not their home. It is a business. We need to have flooring. We can't have tiles popping off the wall. The health inspector says that we need this. If it's a franchise, there are certain mandatory things that are needed. Where they do a complete changeover of the decor inside of a restaurant, all new paintings, all new light fixtures. It's not a choice. It is just, can you get the job done? What's the price? When can you start? So if you have the opportunity to get into that commercial maintenance and repair, I would not turn it down. Please check out the sponsor in the top of the description, and then you can go just underneath that and find a link to my Patreon if you want to join and submit questions. There's a lot of behind the scene videos. There's several coming up on my summertime projects. There's even a video on there that tells you why I'm not putting all that information out on the main YouTube channel and why it's got to go on Patreon. Okay, the lights are dimming. That means it's time to go. Thanks for watching. Goodbye.